quite often as a dredge player. The fact that you're mulliganing aggressively, looking for really strong hands.
Both these players with 2 losses. They should be at 11-2. This is round 14 here at the Modern Open in Worcester.
Yeah, 2 rounds to go in the Swiss. All these players at 11-2, 10-3, looking to try to win multiple matches here in the last 2 rounds to try to clinch that top 8 berth, or looking forward to a higher seed going into the top 8. Being on the play, notably important in Modern.
Both of these decks, these are probably the 2 most visible faithless looting decks in the Modern format, right? The Dredge deck leaning heavily on those discard effects. Cathartic Reunion, actually a huge card that put Dredge on the map when that one was printed in Aether Revolt. The Izzet Phoenix deck, that one was pushed more by Arclight Phoenix specifically, but also a deck that is very happy to register the full 4 copies of the faithless lootings. Devon is mulliganing really heavily. I believe he's going down to 3 cards here. Dredge is one of those decks that can still do it from here, though. Yeah,
I mean, all it takes in your 3-card hand to have 1 red mana source, Faithless Looting, and some Dredge card, and then your plan can come together at that point still with only 3 cards.
And 3 is where Devon will stay. He's going to scry 1 to the bottom. We'll get this game underway here. Devon was on the play. Bloodstained Mire is his turn 1.
I mean, this is definitely a good way for Izzet Phoenix to capitalize by trying to win Game 1. I think Game 1s are usually pretty tough in this particular matchup from the Izzet Phoenix side of things. So that mulligan to 3 gives Ross a pretty good chance of taking this game when he otherwise would be at a slight disadvantage.
Yeah, a lot of Game 1 advantages kind of considered the Dredge factor, really. But 3-card might make it tough. Ross Merriam will start with Polluted Delta for Steam Vents. He's at 17, and Serum Visions will be the play.
That's one thing that people don't talk about enough, in my opinion, in Modern, is the fail rate of any given strategy. A deck like Izzet Phoenix, your fail rate is so low because your deck is full of these cantrip-type effects like Serum Visions. The only time that your deck really fails is when you don't put up some amount of resistance to what your opponent's doing, and you spend all of your time, all 100% of it, spinning your wheels. Dredge, on the other hand, needs a couple of very specific things to get going early. You see them mulligan pretty aggressively to 6. If their 6 is not good, sometimes they'll keep it on a win, like hoping that it's good enough. But often, even going to 5 and still having a very good functioning 5-card hand.
But what Devon has found is looks like a pretty non-functional 3-card hand, just able to contribute a basic mountain with that Bloodstained Mire. No looting, no Cathartic Reunion, no sign of anything really on that side of the table as Ross Merriam's going to work on a Thing in the Ice. He has untapped 3 lands now, Opt, Manamorphose, Thing in the Ice with 2 counters, Serum Visions to follow up the Manamorphose. Still has a red mana floating, the Thing in the Ice with only 1 counter left.
Yeah, my gut says Ross wants to close this game as quickly as possible. He knows the danger that Dredge poses. Even though it doesn't look like Devon is doing that much this turn, all it takes is 1 Cathartic Reunion on the top, discard 2 cards, hit 20-ish cards on the dredging, and hit a couple Narcomoebas, and then just go from there.
Final red mana will be a Lightning Bolt targeting O'Donnell. He'll fall to 17, and that will awaken the horror. Here comes 7 more. O'Donnell at 10.
Really impressive to me how easy it seems for these Izzet Phoenix decks to transform Thing in the Ice on turn 2. With Gutshot and Manamorphose at their disposal, if they find one of those, all it takes is 3 other instant sorceries that cost 1 mana, and that Thing in the Ice starts attacking for 7 as early as turn 3. You see Devon O'Donnell picking them up.
Yeah, the deck really heavily subsidized by Manamorphose and also Faithless Looting. You saw the power, specifically of Manamorphose in that game.
Yep.
Devon O'Donnell is going to look at his sideboard here on the Dredge side of things. He has brought 1 Assassin's Trophy, 2 Damping Spheres. That's actually kind of a hate card for the Phoenix deck. 3 Nature's Claim, a Thoughtseize, 2 Ancient Grudge, 3 Lightning Axe. That would have helped out in that game. A Conflagrate, a Leyline of the Void, just 1 copy of the Leyline, and a Dark Blast. How do you see him configuring this here?
So the Dredge deck in this scenario can become the control deck. You can board in Lightning Axe, Conflagrate, number 3 or 4, Leyline of the Void, all these cards that kind of stifle the development of the Phoenix deck, these Damping Spheres and stuff. I don't think that that's the game plan that Devon wants to go to. I think that there's a good chance that Ross is going to try to overwhelm him via surgical extraction as well as quick pressure. And if he's sitting on Lightning Axe and is facing down against something like Arclight Phoenix Phoenix, those Lightning Axes are going to look pretty embarrassing. I don't really think citing too much on Devon's side is a smart idea. I would maybe trim a few cards here and there. No one side of your deck completely gone. Bring in like some Lightning Axes to make sure that an early thing in the ice isn't your doom.
For Ross Merriam on Is It Phoenix, his sideboard is 2 Abrade, 1 Ceremonious Rejection, 2 Stony Silence, a Snapcaster Mage, 2 copies of Surgical Extraction, a Dispel, 2 Spell Pierce, 2 Path to Exile, an Engineered Explosives, and a Blood Moon. What do you think he'll reach for here?
I think he wants a couple cheap pieces of interaction. 2 Spell Pierce, I think, are a no-brainer. If you can snag a Cathartic Reunion on turn 2, chances are it just puts them dead on the next few turns because it takes so much wind out of their sails as they have to discard as an additional cost. I think Engineer Explosives, a no-go. Blood Moon, not so good. Path to Exile is a coin flip for me. If your opponent is slow tripping, just kind of 1 dredge per turn going through their deck, Path to Exile is pretty good. But pushing the dredge deck towards being able to flashback Faithless Looting is rather dangerous in some scenarios. Absolutely coming in is Surgical Extraction and Snapcaster Mage as a means of doubling up on it, but that's about it.
Yeah, I really like that 1 Snapcaster Mage technology.
Oh, absolutely. I played 1 Snapcaster Mage in my sideboard of Dimir Death Shadow in Legacy. Whenever I would bring in Liliana the Last Hopes, I would bring in 1 Snapcaster Mage. And you see quite a few cards in your deck, and having that bit of longevity, definitely something you want out of a deck like Is It Phoenix, and that Snapcaster Mage playing a nice role there.
Yeah, that's some good synergies. And this Is It Phoenix deck, it's all about him. Arclight Phoenix from Guilds of Ravnica really was the card that made this a deck kind of out of nowhere. But we do have a new set coming out. Ravnica Allegiance is just around the corner. Pre-releases, of course, next week. We have pre-orders today available on StarCityGames.com. You see there, they're marked down, the SCG boxes we have for $94.99, or if you're a premium member, which you can subscribe today, $90.24 for a box. These ship January 25th. And a 5% discount, that's what that is, the 5% discount for premium members you see reflected above there. We also have singles, foils available for pre-order, and we have the full card spoiler now, so we know what's in this set.
Yeah, the full set is now out for us to view. I'm very excited to pick through the rest of the set that I haven't seen thus far. A lot of cards came out on Friday while I was traveling. Yesterday I was working all day, very tired when I got back to the room. Today, working all day. So tomorrow, while I'm on the train, and then the Uber, and then again on a plane, and then another plane, and then an Uber, and then when I'm at home, I'm going to have some time to look over the full set and see if I can come up with any more sweet brews, featuring Wilderness Reclamation, of course.
Yeah, maybe build some new decks for SCG Live Tuesday and Thursday this week. Oh
yeah, we're going to be doing some really sweet stuff on Versus Live. Ross Merriam here playing Is It Phoenix is my co-partner in crime currently. Brad Nelson a little too busy to hang out with us. It's
Devon
fine. With the MPL, there's a lot of streaming needed to be done, and there's a lot of testing for the next Pro Tour to be done, so completely understandable.
Looks like players on 7 cards for Game 2 here. O'Donnell will start with Copperline Gorge into Shriekhorn, just a Pluto Delta for Merriam. 2 activations before O'Donnell's second turn. 3 lands and a Faithless Looting flipped over to the Shriekhorn. No Dredger just yet.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure on the contents of the Dredge Pilot's hand, but this is a spot where something like Path to Exile could end up being dangerous. Once there's a Faithless Looting already in the graveyard, you don't want the Dredge Pilot to hit that 3rd land, because every type of Faithless Looting effect that they gain equates to roughly seeing 10-ish cards every Dredge.
Second land for O'Donnell is Wooded Foothills. He'll fetch a basic mountain. He's at 19. Big check for Cathartic Reunion here on the second turn.
And he fetched pretty quick. I can't imagine it's much else besides that, but we'll wait and see. Would not be surprised if Ross actually has a Spell Pierce here to take care of this. Doing nothing on the first turn is rather suspicious.
Here is Cathartic Reunion. As the cost for casting that, he will discard Bloodghast and Life from the Loam. This will prompt a response from Merriam. He'll crack that Polluted Delta.
Yeah, the Spell Pierce probably coming here for Ross. So he's actually fetched up a White Source Hallowed Fountain, taking that extra 2 damage, which signifies to me that he actually did bring in the Path to Exiles, which is important to note.
Yeah, those would be the 2 white cards on the sideboard. That would make sense. Can't imagine a stony silence. Merriam falls to 17.
Got to stop that tree core, baby.
Shut that down. Strand that last counter. So there's not going to be any dredging happening as that Cathartic Reunion is countered and we go back to Ross Merriam. Though O'Donnell will have that life from the loam as we go to his next turn.
Yeah, he does have a dredger in the yard now. Even though the Cathartic Reunion is countered, the discard is at an additional cost.
Merriam will start with the Thought Scour himself. There's a Path to Exile.
Should have Thought Scoured your opponent. You would have drawn. You would have drawn that Surgical.
Right, Surgical Extraction going to the graveyard. He does have a second copy and a Snapcaster Mage. I would imagine both of those are in the deck. Scalding Tarn is the second land for Merriam, and he'll pass back.
Yeah, this is the spot where you're very happy to draw Snapcaster Mage when your Thought Scour hits one of your key sideboard cards in the Surgical Extraction.
O'Donnell will use the last counter of the Shriekhorn and the upkeep to mill himself, and he finds Golgari Thug. That'll dredge for 1 more than the life from the loam. Couple lands, Narcomoeba and Faithless Looting dredged over. The Narcomoeba will go onto the battlefield. There's Gemstone Mine, triggers the Blood Gas that was previously discarded to the Cathartic Reunion. No prized amalgams to speak of just yet, and he'll be flashing back Faithless Looting here.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Devon here putting a pretty big emphasis on the more dredging rather than the life from the lone engine alongside Conflagrate. Choosing to get back the Thug as the original draw instead of the life from the loam, and then, of course, playing the Faithless Looting instead of the life from the loam from hand.
Yeah, so flashing back that Faithless Looting, he'll dredge both loams. Another Narcomoeba will join the team, as well as a Bloodcast dredged over. Golgari Thug and life from the loam discarded to the looting. Merriam will crack that Scalding Tarn. He'll fall to 16. Steam Vents tapped.
Really curious what to see this next few turn sequence from Ross. I have to imagine that he actually main phased a Thought Scour last turn because he didn't have another land to play and then found it off the Thought Scour. So I'm curious if he follows up here with a Thing in the Ice.
And we'll find out soon enough as Merriam will draw for turn. There's another land. Spirebluff Canal was the draw. Yeah, the rest of the hand does look like spells, though. Here's another Thought Scour. He'll target himself. Lightning Bolt, Mutagenic Growth.
I love that man. I love him so much. Now, it's important to note Mutagenic Growth actually protects Thing in the Ice from Dismember, as well as Lightning Axe in the mirror, or Lightning Axe out of the sideboard of these dredge decks. You don't see it too often, but when you do and it works, it's quite good. And it's another free spell to help you transform your Thing in the Ice a little bit easier. Ross opting to play the one Mutagenic over one of the Gut Shots, going down to 2 Gut Shots where most people play 3.
Yeah, a lot to like about that, and a lot to like about this, as opt into Faithless Looting is going to yield 2 Arclight Phoenixes for Merriam here. He'll attack with those. We'll see if O'Donnell wants to engage these Narcomoebas in combat.
Yeah, that's a really good turn from Ross. Spinning his wheels a little bit, but getting that huge payoff with the Faithless Looting on the 2 Arclight Phoenixes. Coming across to put some pressure on Devon, but doesn't seem like Ross has much in the way of interaction with Devon's graveyard. That one Surgical Extraction left in his deck seems like it's his only real way to do it. So he's going to be trying to do this the hard way by attacking with Arclight Phoenix through things like Creeping Chill and Narcomoeba.
No blocks for O'Donnell. He fell to 13, and for his draw step, he'll dredge Golgari Thug. Here's Faithless Looting, Conflagrate entering the graveyard, and Creeping Chill. That'll reverse the life totals here. O'Donnell to 16, Merriam to 13.
So now Devon has the option here between flashback Faithless Looting and dig deeper into his deck. He has another life from the loam in the graveyard as a dredger. He has, I believe, the Golgari Thug, which he discarded last turn. One play he could go for here is life from loam, get back some lands. Play 1, get back a Bloodghast. Go for a Conflagrate for X equals, 3 or 4, depending on how many cards he has in his hand right now. Putting Ross to 10 or less, which will turn on the Bloodghast with haste, and then attacking for 6 with the Bloodghast and the 2 Narcomoebas.
Yeah, Creeping Chill definitely massively upgraded the power of this deck, and part of it is how easy you can get your opponent to that 10 or less threshold for your Bloodghasts.
Yeah, it just gives you a new angle of attack. Before, things like Conflagrate would be like a big finisher if a game went super long and you went loam, loam, loam. Now it just turns every life from the loam into potentially like, a fireball of sorts. And alongside Creeping Chill and giving those Blood Gas haste, you can do a lot of burst damage, whereas before you had to rely way too much on just doing combat damage via Blood Gas, Prize Amalgam, and Narcomoeba.
O'Donnell will cast Light from the Loam, pick up 3 lands. He'll play Mountain. That'll bring back a Blood Gas, and then he'll go ahead and Conflagrate, give that Blood Gas haste. So he discarded 3, knocked Merriam to 10, and here comes 6 in the combat, Merriam to 4.
Yeah, and I think the odds of Ross doing 10 extra points of damage this turn is basically 0. And Devon has a good chance of just burning Ross out next turn with Faithless Looting Flashback, hitting some Creeping Chills, maybe even just hitting another Conflagrate to go with that Life from the Loam and deal 4.
Does not take much. 6 power currently on the battlefield. And even if O'Donnell doesn't have it next turn, Merriam can't attack right now. He has to leave these Phoenixes back as blockers, so it's not like things get better for Merriam with any kind of immediacy.
Yeah, and this is really showing the strength of Dredge. A pretty good draw, right? A Shriekhorn into a Cathartic Reunion, but having that Cathartic Reunion snapped off with a Spell Pierce, kind of just playing this slower Dredge game over the next few turns. This is turn 4 for Ross Merriam. Devon O'Donnell on the play this game. On turn 4, threw a Spell Pierce on one of his best cards, still has 6 power on the battlefield, dealt Ross enough damage to put him down to 4, and he's still at 16 life after taking a big swing from those 2 Arclight Phoenixes.
Yeah, Spell Pierce on Reunion, it's a big tempo play, but you still get to discard the cards.
Yes.
You still get to Dredge. That's what makes the Dredge deck so powerful.
Yeah, and if the Dredge deck's able to hit that 3rd key mana to be able to flashback a Faithless Looting, you need to have multiple instances of interaction for those draw-discard effects.
Merriam taking an aggressive stance. The Phoenixes will come across, knocked O'Donnell down to 10. Merriam plays a Mountain, 4 mana, potentially. But he doesn't have any plays. He's going to pass back.
I think Ross knows he's dead here. He's probably just baiting Devon to Dredge a little more so he gets a little more information on how he's sideboarded. Ross hasn't seen a Lightning Axe yet out of this first 20-ish cards. And so if he's able to see a Lightning Axe, that might help him sideboard for game 3.
O'Donnell will Dredge Golgari Thug in the draw step. Here's 2 Stinkweed Imps, a Creeping Chill, and a Narcomoeba. That's an above-average Dredge. With Merriam at 4, the Creeping Chill makes it pretty easy to close from there, and Merriam will pick him up. We're going to a game 3 here.
Yeah, I like the play from Ross to see if there is more out of the sideboard. It's possible he actually had something like Path to Exile plus Snapcaster Mage, Lightning Bolt or something to stay alive if there was no Creeping Chill or no Conflagrate from Devon. But that Creeping Chill off the top sealed the deal. Ross getting a little bit more information, but not enough to really influence how he's going back to the drawing board.
Yeah, you mentioned that Merriam did not see any Lightning Axes from O'Donnell, but O'Donnell did see Mutagenic Growth from Merriam. So yes, the information advantage actually swings towards the Dredge player for that fight, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, that dynamic is not going to come up too often because the EZ Phoenix decks don't play a ton of this Mutagenic Growth card, but it's always going to be sitting at the back of Devon's mind and may actually influence a play at one point. And, he either gets punished for running into it or plays around it and loses a foothold that he may have otherwise been able to take.
For fans of our creature collection here at Star City Games, we have our January creature playmat sleeves and player bundles. What's this one called, Todd?
Hadouken!
I will never get tired of that.
Yeah, me neither.
I love never get tired of that.
Love doing it.
And that's going to be all throughout the month of January. You can find these at go.starcitygames.com/creature collection. And we do a new one of these every month. In February, or we'll stick to January, I guess. So here's February. Yeti Steady Go. It's not as, you don't get as animated as this one, but you like this one a lot as well. Yeah,
I just like the idea of a little Yeti on the run. It looks kind of like he's sledding, but I can't tell from here exactly. Apparently he's collecting snowflakes, maybe?
That's adorable.
Oh, he's looking at a map? All right.
Art is open to interpretation.
That's true.
It can be one, none, or all of these things. In March, we have Veni Vidi Armadici, which is, of course, Latin.
Yeah, of course. Everyone knows that's
Everyone
Latin.
knows that that's Latin.
Armadici, the classic Latin phrase meaning you armadilloed.
Yeah, it's a conjugation of armadicio to armadillo.
Yes. I actually have a really good joke for the first one. Can we go back to January? All right, if we can go back to Purduecan. All right, if you go to go.starcitygames.com/game night and pick up some of these Purduecans, you'll win.
I know that you're very happy with that one.
Oh, yeah.
There's just no reason to comment.
It's not even good, though. I know it's not good. It was not a good impression. I thought I would do it more justice because I can hear it in my head. I know it perfectly in my head.
Yeah. You nailed the Purduecan again, though.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. That's always going to be perfect.
You'll lose. Yeah. Next SCG Con summer, we're actually going to have a giant Toyota Camry in the convention center that everyone gets to punch a bunch. If they want, you pay $10, you get to punch as much as you want, and you get to keep all the metal that falls off.
There's so much going on with that bit.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
Just the phrase punch a bunch.
Yeah.
That alone sells me on that. Looks like Devon O'Donnell is going to be mulliganing again here in game number 3.
That's
this
weird.
one's just a 6. Yeah, Dredge known to do that.
I don't know that I've ever kept multiple 7s with a Dredge deck in a tournament. But that's also partially my own fault for thinking, I can have a better 6. I can have a better 5.
I can do
And then
better.
once you have to go to 4 because your 5 has no lands, then you're in some trouble.
Right. Gets a little bit hairy. Ross Merriam will be on the play here as tapped Hollowed Fountain. Devon O'Donnell mountain into Shriekhorn. Pretty strong start for the Dredge player. Spirebluff Canal, thing in the ice. One good turn deserves another, I guess.
Yeah, this is a pretty big deal for Ross. Devon O'Donnell is going to desperately need something like Lightning Axe to be able to clear this, or else it threatens to not only return his whole battlefield to his hand, but also start attacking for 7 and putting pressure on his life total.
Big hit off that first Shriekhorn for O'Donnell. Stinkweed Imp enters the graveyard along with a Stomping Ground. We're going to go to his upkeep, and actually he'll take an extra draw. It looks like he needed a land. There's a second Shriekhorn, and he'll just have to pass back to Merriam.
Yeah, not hitting the second land is crucial. Also notably drawing a Creeping Chill just for max punishment.
Yuck. Second thing in the ice for Merriam. Things are getting out of hand quickly.
Well, now he's going to need double the answers, or else Ross is going to have double the fun. Check out Thing in the Ice. Spearmint Gum.
I was trying to think if there was some kind of way to wordplay between Double Mint and Thing in the Ice, or even Woke. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't know.
I gave it my best in the 3 seconds I thought about it.
There's like Glacier Ice Gum or something, probably.
Couple Shriekhorn activations. No lands in those 4 cards. Prized Amalgam, a couple Cathartic Reunions, and a Faithless Looting. So I guess O'Donnell happy to not draw those ones, though Golgari Thug to draw step. That is not going to help.
Man, weird. This is what happens to me every time that I play Dredge.
Here is an opt end step for Merriam. Both things to 3 counters. Merriam happy with the card he found. Kind of trivial to transform both things on this turn.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of Ross's deck costs 1 mana. I think his average converted mana cost is somewhere around 1.27 or something. So I would say that Ross is just going to play a couple spells here. Try to leave open like 1 mana probably for something like a Spell Pierce. Maybe 2 if he has an Izzet Charm. Manamorphose goes a long way in helping him do just that.
How about 2 Manamorphoses? Now the thing's down to 1 counter each.
Yeah, no, I guess hold up 2 mana, maybe, I don't know. It's great. Bolt you, something, attack for 14.
Here is a Faithless Looting. That'll transform both things into Awoken Horrors, and a pair of Arclight Phoenix would do this real easily.
Yeah, notably, Awoken Horror bounces non-horrors, and so multiple thing in the ice transforming is a great thing. It works well with Bedlam Reveler, too, which is hilariously a horror as well.
There's 1 Phoenix. Here's an attack for 17.
Yeah,
and there's a
Russell has
Lightning Bolt. Merriam will wrap this one up 2-1 over Devon O'Donnell. Merriam advancing to 12-2, O'Donnell falling to 11-3, potentially still live, though Ross Merriam now in very good position as we go into round 15.
Yeah, there's a very good chance that he gets paired against another X and 2 or better and is able to draw into the top 8, and also drawing would put him at a pretty high seed.